Alrighty, we are back above 30,250, which is where we left off yesterday before we had the little bit of a dump. Yesterday when I was talking to an AI-powered quant trading firm, they kind of predicted this. And if you're not following these guys, you should be following the guys called AI Trader 21. He yesterday said it was very important for Bitcoin to secure the $30,250. And we did secure the $30,250. So what happens next? Are we going to go up or are we going to go down? We're also going to talk about whether this is the last chance to buy into this rally. I'm going to show you a metric that says that maybe this is really the last chance to be so-called early if we're getting into a bull market. And then lastly, I'm actually going to show you guys, I think if we get there, I'm going to show you guys how I made $1 million. And there's something very simple in that lesson for you guys so that you guys can maybe do the same. So listen, I know I'm late, but get out of bed. Let's do this.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch, go. Get up, and then they got go on. Time to wake up, bitch, get up. Get up, get up.
Yo, wakey, rise and shine. It's a beautiful day on the markets. Just let's take a look at what's happening. We have Bitcoin, $30,333 exactly right now. We've given back all the gains from yesterday. Interestingly, if you look at what's going on here, the one thing that you'll notice is that the Bitcoin dominance started to bounce up again. We're going to talk about this Bitcoin dominance because yesterday the Bitcoin dominance dropped to 46.8. And you know, I've been quite vocal about dominance because dominance shows us whether or not we're getting into an altcoin rally. So that's one of the things that we're actually going to be looking at today. And I've got a video from Benjamin Cowen where he actually discusses the dominance. And he has got some really valid points. And I've given him quite a hard time about his whole dominance story. But we're gonna look at it because he does actually make some very valid points. So it's going to be a big alpha per minute show today. We also going to talk about altcoins because if you look at what's happening on altcoins, look at Arbitrum. Arbitrum was at 182, which is, I mean, that's a big number for Arbitrum. We're going to talk about why that went to 182. Some other altcoins that I think we should talk about. We've got to talk about PEPE. Look at PEPE. It's now back at 0.0000009796. The total market cap is 41.2. Question is, can you be buying this thing? Is there more upside in buying this thing? Another one where the smart money is going, I picked up on Nansen, was Blur. If you look at Nansen subscribers, and specifically you look at the VIP subscribers, the biggest search token in the VIP subscribers is Blur. And if you look at the Blur chart, let's quickly just go to the Blur chart. What you can see is that Blur is also above 80 cents. It was a little bit higher. It was at about 85 cents earlier today. Let's look at which other altcoins are moving. Radix is having an unbelievable day. It's actually up almost 200% this month. We spoke about Radix yesterday. Arbitrum, Blur, one that I saw, in fact, let's quickly go to it. Superfarm. Look at this little wick that happened on Superfarm. Superfarm went from, I think now they call it Superverse. So it went from 0.13, so 13 cents, all the way up to 24 cents in a wick. I wonder if something's going on there. I think we need to get Elio in there. So listen, all in all, it's going to be a massive show filled with altcoin, degen altcoin picks, just the way you guys love them. We may or may not talk about how I made $1 million. I don't know if I don't know if I want to show the accounts, but I think it's important that I show you, because if I do show you, it will show you a technique which I used to to make $1 million. And maybe if you apply the same technique, you can also make $1 million. And I'll give you one hint. I started with way under $1 million. In fact, I started with way under $50,000, and I'll show you more or less how that happened. So listen, if you're new to the channel, you know what you need to do. Subscribe to the channel. If you are one of the Banter fam, one of the most loyal Banter fam people in the world, then not only should you like this content, but also if you are going to be in Austin, there is a party in Austin. James, have you got something about the party in Austin?
Yeah, here you go.
Okay, so you can see we will be in Austin on the 27th, and we're going to have a party with LIFE3, which is Harry's company. There is a link below, but only use the link if you're actually going to be in Austin, because we got limited free tickets to the party. And the last thing that I want you guys to do is to use a ticket from someone who could have come and you guys basically destroy it. Let me know in the comments if you're going to be in Austin. Also, let me know if you prefer this jacket, this gangster badass jacket. You see, I'm dressing up for you guys now, or whether you want the salmon jacket back. Or we can just go back with the V-necks. We can go back to the V-necks. All right, let's do this. First of all, I see Chris is in the house from Australia. Say present. Dion, saying your name, brother, saying your name. Lee Chang, stop saying Sui, just say present. Daniel, D-A-N. Banter girls here. Any party in Europe? We will do a party in Europe. We will come to something in Europe, I promise you. Someone says Ran did sniper school. I have done sniper school. You know I've done sniper school. So if you're here, say present. G-Bane, say present. Matthew, say present. Freddie, present. Josh, present. James, Fred is here. He is here. All right, so let's look at where we are, and let's look at how to actually play this. I've got these how amazing this new technology is. We've got this fancy new chart layout. I know you guys have seen Kyle doing it. So this is where we're at, and we're at 30,326. Yesterday, when the price came down to 29,500, I did see all the bears starting to do their analysis. You know, like when the price goes down $500, you had the bears with these analysis about how the market run is over and how this is the one reason for the market run being over. I saw lots of these. I saw this whole thing about weakening volume. I saw this whole thing about, the whole thing. And I said to you guys, I'm not very concerned about this market run being over. I thought that a pullback was necessary. I did show you guys yesterday. I did show you guys the RSIs, and I showed you guys how the RSIs had hit that trend line. In fact, let me see if I can quickly get those RSIs out and just quickly remind you what I said yesterday. And I said to you guys, here we go. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just get rid of some of these indicators. There we go. Okay, so we did look at the RSIs yesterday. And we did say that the RSIs had been on this line over here, and it was time over there, and it was time for them. Sorry, we were looking slightly further back yesterday. I think we were looking at it like that, and I did say that there was a bearish divergence in the RSI, and that it was time for it to test. Now, we could have either carried on going down, or I said we'd probably challenge this line again. At the same time, what I saw on Twitter and what I saw everywhere else was that people were trying to overanalyze this dip. And the one thing I've said to myself about this bull run, which I didn't do in any of the other bull runs, is in the other bull runs, I always questioned when the music would stop. I always questioned when the market would go down instead of actually enjoying the party and enjoying the run. And the problem is that when you do that, you play a different game. You play a much more conservative game. And in that conservative game, what you'll end up doing is you keep waiting for affirmations that this market is going to continue to go up. So you wait for the affirmation at 20,000, you're still not convinced. You wait for the affirmation at 22,000, you wait for the affirmation at 24, 26, 28, 30. And eventually by the time you deploy your capital, you'll end up deploying a lot of your capital near the top. In this time, what I've said, no, I'm here, the music's on, I'm not going to overanalyze it, I'm going to look at the fundamentals, but I'm actually going to be here and enjoy the bull market until I see a real sign that the bull market's going to stop. So I'm going in with a much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Much more positive approach. I'm going to enjoy the music while the music's on. I'm not going to be like these people that overanalyze the market, because the result of overanalyzing the market is it makes these people go short. And you can see that right now, if you look at the shorts on Bitcoin, you can see that the total shorts right now is much bigger. And usually what that leads to is it leads to a short squeeze. And that's exactly what happened here. And that is, by the way, what my AI altcoin trader friend told me yesterday. So let me just walk you through this account, which is called AI Trader 021. We found a trader at a quant hedge fund, which has a very, very, very good track record. And he is willing to share their alpha with us. Not only is he going to share the alpha with us, but soon we're also going to get this trader to share the trades with us. And then we're going to do a copy trading for you guys. So if you're not already following AI Trader, go and follow AI Trader 021. And keep following, because he told me this is exactly what happened. He said to me, we're going to go down, there's going to be a short squeeze. He was waiting for invalidation. The invalidation for him was either under 21,500 or above, let me actually go back here. So I think he said yesterday, he was, let's quickly go here. And he said, okay, 29,800 or 30,250. We got over the 30,250. He says, though, if we break 30,500, we're going to go way up. So let's keep an eye on that. In the meantime, there are much more shorts than longs at the moment. And this is saying that the majority of traders are betting on the market actually coming down. And if that's true, then we could get a bit of a short squeeze if these guys are wrong. Now, I did say to you guys that I'm not entering this market with a PTSD mindset. It's the first bull market that I'm playing without a PTSD mindset. And I did see that someone else, this guy called 𝗕𝗏𝗿𝗍𝗏, is actually saying the same thing. So he's saying, look, the market will test every ounce of our resolve. Even when it's going up and we have all these pullbacks, the nature of this game, particularly this ingrained PTSD kicks in. No matter how disciplined one is, you always doubt the thesis, the conviction, and the process. Is this that time that I'll be wrong? Will I get caught with my pants around my ankles? Right now, I'm riding this bear market. He says the same thing. Sometimes we just have to let these thoughts go and trust in what we have spent so much time doing. And that's exactly what I've been doing. In fact, one of the positions that I've been doing it in is this Arbitrum position. As you can see, I took this Arbitrum position at 129. I showed you guys when I opened the Arbitrum position. I'm still holding it. It's $70,000 up. $76,000 up, and then you got the Blur position also up $11,000, and the BTC position, which I opened at 27,500, is also up $31,000. Now, bear in mind, I've also taken $13,510 in profits. I've taken that already on the Blur position. So all in all, on this account, which is about a 1 month old account, I've done $120,000 in profit, and I've got about $20,000 in unaccounted for losses, which we'll have to deal with, and we'll deal with them later on in the show. So you have a choice now. You can either enjoy the music, or you can sit at the party on the chair and analyze what time the music is going to shut down. Like, what time is this party going to stop? When is this party going to stop? Or you can just be here, enjoy the party, and when you do get signs of the music stopping, then you can sell, take your stop loss, do whatever else you need to do. I'm looking at something completely different. I'm zooming out. And because I'm zooming out, I'm seeing something completely different. I'm seeing something like this. Right now, if I zoom out and I look at the total trend of Bitcoin, which is this trend over here, I do see that there is this pattern. And this is what they call the 2-year MA multiplier. Okay, now this 2-year MA multiplier, I researched it. The 2-year MA multiplier is a Bitcoin chart intended to be used as a long-term investment tool. It highlights initial periods where buying or selling of Bitcoin during these times would have produced outsized return. To do it, you take a moving average line, the 2-year moving average, and also a multiplication of that moving average line, 2-year times 5. Note that the times 5 multiplication is of the price values of the 2-year moving average, not of the time period. Okay, so that's what this chart is. And what this chart usually shows is it shows the best time to accumulate Bitcoin. What you can see is that if you haven't yet started to accumulate Bitcoin, you pretty much right just at the last part of the accumulation. You probably don't have much more time to start the accumulation, unless, of course, we follow this pattern, which we may just follow, which I'll show you in a second, where you may have another chance to actually start accumulating here. Okay, so that's the first thing. And And what we also see is we see that the whales are seeing exactly the same thing. So very, very, very interestingly, if you look at the cohorts that are actually buying Bitcoin right now, even though we are at what you can say the highest price in the cycle for a long period of time, there is one entity which is actually buying Bitcoin right now. And that entity that is buying Bitcoin right now, as you can see, is this entity over here, which is the whales. So the whales are actually still accumulating. You can see it here. Large entities are the ones that are actually accumulating Bitcoin, even at this stage of the cycle. You got large entities accumulating Bitcoin. And so you got to make a decision. You got to make a decision. If you want to be like the whales, who are basically what they're saying is, look, we're just going to enjoy the music. The music's playing right now. We're going to enjoy the music. Or whether you're going to sit here and go, well, when is this party going to end? When is this party going to end? You got to ask yourself a question. You got to ask yourself a question. See, these people here are saying sell in May and walk away. We are in April. Right now, let's enjoy April. We'll worry about May when May happens. Right now, it's April. Things are pumping. Meme coins are pumping. The market's telling us that everything's bullish. Here we go. You can see PEPE again up again. 40 now. It's at a $45 million market cap. We'll talk about PEPE in a couple of seconds because I don't know. Maybe there is a case to actually be buying it. So let me show you something here. Hold on a second. Okay, hold on a second. All right, let's have a look at this. Okay, cool. I want to show you something else. Okay, so where are we? Where are we at? Let's look at where we're at. We are over here. And what you can see is that right now, as it stands, if you look on the monthly, Bitcoin's had 4 very positive months. We're 6.75% in April. We're about 80% up for the year. And that has made Bitcoin, not only is it the best performing asset class. So you can see that on a total return basis, it is the best performing asset class. It's got a 78% return versus the NASDAQ, which has got a 20% return. Gold's got a 9% return. The S&P's got an 8% return. Bonds have got a 3% return. And crude oil's got a 5% return. But when you take a risk-adjusted return, which is called the Sharpe ratio, the Sharpe ratio is a measure of risk-adjusted returns. They take the cumulative risk of holding Bitcoin and any other asset, and they add that to the return. And they say, look, is the return actually on a risk-adjusted basis, is this still the best asset to hold? Because there are assets which are the best assets to hold. Like, for example, PEPE is the best asset to hold. But on the risk-adjusted basis, is this still the best asset to hold? That's the question. And the answer is yes. Even on a risk-adjusted basis, you've got Bitcoin as the best performing asset class this year. Even if you take all the risk and all the volatility of the history using the Sharpe ratio, it is the best performing asset this year. We're also now 1 year away from the halving. We're 330 days away from the halving, and we're starting to follow this halving pattern. Now, what you'll notice about this halving pattern is it's slightly different from the other halving patterns, but in general, it is following the trend. The up, the down, the slightly up, and now we're starting to climb again. Now, we could follow a pattern like this. We could follow this pattern over here. Up, and then we could start coming down here. This is an analysis that was done. It was done by K33 Research. They're saying that Bitcoin could peak at 45,000 in May. So that would take it up to here. Then it would start coming down, and then we get into the actual real bull market swing of things that we've all been waiting for. So that could make sense. What could bring this market down? Well, the one thing that could bring this market down theoretically is this overhang of Bitcoin that might still be in the market. Now, there could be an overhang of Bitcoin in the market. But has the market actually factored in this potential overhang of Bitcoin? And when I say the overhang, what is the overhang? It's the Mt. Gox Bitcoin, which is 140,000 Bitcoin that the liquidator has to start or is starting to distribute to Mt. Gox holders. And then remember that there's also 40,000 Bitcoin, 41,000 Bitcoin, which the US government has from what they confiscated from Silk Road many years ago. They confiscated a whole of tokens Silk Road. James, I'd appreciate it if they could all see my face. We'll talk about. James, I promise you, we'll talk about the party. I know you're keen to talk about the party. I promise you, we will. Okay, you want to talk about the party now? Put the party slide on. We are going to be in consensus on April 27th. We are going to have a party. I don't know why James is so excited. He's not even coming to consensus. Are you coming to consensus, James?
I'm invited.
Everyone's invited. You can see. Just there is either scan this QR code now, or there's a link below, and then you can sign up to the party. James, are you happy now that I've spoken about the party? Okay, good. Can we talk about Bitcoin again? So there are these 41,000 Bitcoin that may hit the market. The last time that the government sold was on the 7th of March, between the 7th and the 14th of March. So let's see what happened the last time between the 7th and the 14th of March. Let's go to March, and let's go between the 7th and the 14th. You can see that the government started selling somewhere around here, and the price just recovered. So we did have a little drop. Did we have a drop to 18,600? That sounds a bit hard. And then we started to go up. So what this what this guy's saying is that if we break the sales up into 73 days intervals, which is how the first pattern became, we could expect these dips every 73 days. We could expect these dips every 73 days as the government starts to sell. So let's keep an eye open on that, but this is not something that I'm panicking about. I can tell you right now, this is not something that I'm panicking about. I think that with these things, the market generally prices them in. And it's exactly like if you think about ETH Shanghai, the market was very, very, very nervous about the $30 billion worth of ETH Shanghai tokens that could potentially hit the market. And the market gave ETH, depressed ETH against Bitcoin. In fact, let's quickly go to the ETH BTC chart. Okay, so we'll go quickly to the ETH BTC chart, ETH BTC. Here we go. And you can see what happened as the Shanghai upgrade happened. So this is what happened when the Shanghai upgrade happened over here, around the 12th or 13th of April. You can see that what happened ever since the Shanghai upgrade happened is the market said, hold on a second. We were a little bit paranoid. We overpriced in the potential of the ETH Shanghai upgrade. We overpriced how bad this thing can be, right? Then what happened was the market started to see the reality. And the reality is that as the ETH Shanghai upgrade happened, those that were forced to sell, like Kraken and a whole lot of others that were forced to sell, sold. But then, if you look at the last 24 hours, we had an inflow of 110,000 ETH, and we had an outflow of 27,000 ETH. Which means that if you look at this chart over here, this chart over here shows that there was a bit of a dump. We stabilized. There was a bit more of a dump. And now we're starting to turn again with more ETH being staked than actually being withdrawn. And so the market's kind of going, okay, cool. We had this. We thought that this was going to dump a lot. It didn't dump as badly as we thought. We can be happy. And therefore, you can see that we're starting to get this pump in ETH BTC. So a little bit of a dump today. And the reason why this dump happened, we're actually going to talk about in a second. It's a very small dump of ETH versus BTC. And it's not really a dump because what happened here is Bitcoin went down, ETH didn't go down. Bitcoin went up, but ETH and altcoins haven't had time to respond. And I'm very interested to know or to see what's going to happen next. Because my theory is a very simple theory. Yesterday, we saw Bitcoin dump, and then we saw Bitcoin dominance do this. Let me show you. So we saw Bitcoin dump, and then we saw Bitcoin dominance dip like this. Then we had the Bitcoin price go up, and the altcoins just haven't caught up yet. I think that this is what's happening. I think the altcoins just haven't caught up to the Bitcoin pump. So I think what is going to happen now in the next 3 to 4 days is that the dominance will start coming down, which means that if Bitcoin can hold at 30,500, the alts actually continue to have a huge run. So let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm right here. I might be wrong. And Bitcoin may go for another run up without the alts. But I do think that when it comes to the Bitcoin dominance chart, let me just find the Bitcoin dominance chart. I do think that this Bitcoin dominance starts to go down. Now, you'll know that one of the people that doesn't think that is Benjamin Khan. And I've been quite vocal against him to say I think he's wrong in this thesis. And don't get me wrong, I really think that Ben's videos are really good. I think he's one of the more calculated people in the space. I think that he's actually a very, very, very good chartist. He is one of my go-to places for information every single day. But that doesn't mean that I have to agree with him on everything that he says. And when he says something around altcoins, which I feel very strongly about, then I do call him out. And I said to him, look, you know, Ben, if you're so confident that Bitcoin dominance is going to be higher 1 year from now, then take a bet with me. But then he made a video today. Now, I think it's important that we actually go through this video that Ben made, and so that you can hear the points that he's making, and we can discuss the points that he's making, because that will determine whether or not we're getting another altcoin run. So I'm going to start the video at about here. Let's just see if you guys can see it. Voila. Ha. There we go. So what? Listen to this.
And you know, we've been bullish on the Bitcoin dominance for quite some time, and don't lose sight of the overall trend. And the overall trend is up. We've talked about this for a long time, and even back over here, we put out a video saying that it would likely shift momentum in September, right? We said in September, it will likely shift momentum. That's when it normally does shift momentum. Perhaps this September will be a shift, but the other direction, right? Maybe you'll hear me say, maybe in Q3, you'll hear me say something like, all right, well, maybe it'll go down for a while, the dominance. Let's not get too carried away, right? But hey, maybe that'll happen. So the point, and we said this in the last video, is that, look, we've had several moves up and we've had consolidation, right? We had a move up here, and then we got some consolidation for a while. And then we had this move up and consolidation, right? Another move up, more consolidation, and now another move up. Guess what? I just see it as more consolidation. One thing to note.
So he's seeing this whole he's seeing this whole move as consolidation. And very interestingly, when he spoke about this little dip over here, he goes back to the RSIs on Bitcoin dominance, and he says, look, this was just a reset of the RSIs. So let's listen.
So if you look at this consolidation area right here, it sort of bottomed out the RSI at around 43, and over here it bottomed out closer to around 31 or so. But do note that, you know, these consolidation phase allow some of these things, allow some of these metrics to reset before an eventual move higher. And I do think we're likely going to see that. And it might be not until May that we see that move back up to the upside. I was hoping it would be quicker, but at this point.
So he's saying, look, we may actually get an altcoin run until May, and then what he's saying is that Bitcoin dominance actually is going to continue, but it's going to continue in a parabolic pattern. Now, again, this is not what my belief is, but it's important that we show you both beliefs and we can make an informed decision together. So listen to what he says about the parabola here.
Is having a parabolic move. I mean, I know this might sound a little crazy, but if you were to switch this over to, say, like a daily time frame, and you can sort of just draw a curve here. Again, these curves are easy to manipulate, so I'm not asking you to take it to the bank, but you can sort of draw a curve here and just kind of see that the dominance is on a parabolic move higher, right? I mean, and every single time it comes back in, a lot of people get confident that it's going to go to new lows, but the reality is it just continues to put in one higher low after another, and this time will likely not be any different, and it should continue on.
So he says Bitcoin dominance is actually now on a parabolic run, and he says it's going to continue this parabolic run. He does make one point which did hit home for me, and this is the one point where, you know, I've challenged his theory, but there is one point where I actually might agree with him if his numbers are correct. Now, I don't know if the numbers are correct, but what he says is the reason Bitcoin dominance goes down is because new money comes in the fact of retail traders. And in the absence of these retail traders coming in, the dominance is not going to go down. And he's saying, look, right now, retail traders aren't coming in. So just listen to the metric that he uses.
Is that happening now? Well, look, I mean, Bitcoin USD has had a fairly nice rally back up to 2930K from the lows. But sort of a counterpoint to some of this is look at some of the social statistics, right? Like, look at new YouTube subscribers to a lot of the crypto YouTube channels, including my own, right? Including my own. A 7-day estimate of this shows that on average, we're losing 1,200 subscribers. This is on a daily resolution, I believe, right? So 1,200 subscribers. Now, that doesn't mean that every channel is losing subscribers, but the point is that what you're seeing
not losing
right
subscribers,
now
we're gaining.
is not an influx of new people to buy your, to buy the altcoin bags, right? You're seeing relatively low levels of activity here, right? People are leaving the cryptoverse. Again, I mean, don't take it up with me. Just take it up with the chart, right? I mean, like, look at these.
So that's the one point where I think he may be right. If we don't have new people coming into crypto, then the issue is that there's no one to buy the altcoin bags. And that might be the one case for dominance actually being strong and people trading out of altcoins into Bitcoin. But net, as I said, I think he's wrong. And I think that right now, we do agree on one thing. He says that in September, dominance may turn. And then he says he might change his view. So I said to him, look, in 1 year, do you want to take a bet that dominance is going to be lower than it is today? And he doesn't respond to that bet. I don't know if he's, I don't know. He just doesn't respond to the bet. I'm not gonna make any judgment. But anyway, right now, as it stands, I said to you, I think that what the market's done is the market has looked at ETH Shanghai. They said, look, we were wrong about ETH Shanghai. We were wrong about all this ETH hitting the market. We overpriced the potential mess that this may cause. And now the market's playing catch up and it's doing huge things for altcoins. And you got to enjoy what's going on with this altcoin run. You got to enjoy the bull run. You got to enjoy what's going on here. And one thing that you can see here is that money is flowing into a lot of these liquid staking derivatives, and it's driving the prices up. And I want to show you some of the crazy things. So if you look at Rocket Pool, for example, so the symbol is RPL, there's money flowing into Rocket Pool because they are a liquid staking derivative protocol, and they've come up with a mechanism with an upgrade. We'll talk about the upgrade in a second, but I just want to show you, like, Rocket Pool has gone in the last month. You've doubled your money on Rocket Pool. You could have put money in at $30. It's now trading at $56. Another one which is doing absolutely crazy thing is this Agility. So look at Agility. Agility in the last, let me actually zoom out for you guys just so you can see what it's done. If you look at Agility in the last, since the 17th of April, which was Monday, it was trading at 38 cents. It's now trading at $1. So if you keep your eye on the ball, if you keep doing the right narratives and you keep doing the fundamental research, and you would have picked up that Rocket Pool is doing an upgrade. Part of the upgrade that Rocket Pool is doing is that it's allowing for mini pools. So you can run your own validator with 8 or 16 ETH as opposed to 32 ETH. Now that's product innovation, and Rocket Pool is actually getting rewarded for that. As I said, there is this project. Be careful of this project because it has a very low market cap. Is there a reason why Sheldon is on my screen?
Apologies, wrong key.
I don't know why Sheldon's on my screen. I really don't. Yeah, so you've got that. You've got that one. I also, by the way, I going back to the dominance discussion, if you look at this chart which I made, it's total 2 divided by total, which shows how Bitcoin, how the altcoins are performing against the total market. You can see that ever since the ETH Shanghai upgrade, or just before the ETH Shanghai upgrade, the altcoins have actually started to go up. So you can see that over here. Let's follow this trend. One thing that you can see is that they still haven't made a higher high. So we're still not making a higher high. We want this chart to go above there to say this is the first higher high that we've had. Maybe if we go into a shorter time frame. Yeah, on the shorter time frame it actually has. So if you look at the shorter time frame, it actually has made a higher high. All right, let's look at some other altcoins. One of the other altcoins that has been, and after that we'll go and I'll show you how I made $1 million. Again, I'm not going to do it I usually don't show these things, but I think it's important because there's a very good lesson in showing it, and I want to show it to you the way that it is. By the way, if you're still here, someone says, come on, Ran, don't be like that. Sheldon's hijacking your show. Sheldon sniped Ran's show. He is. It's exactly what's happening. Let's look at some altcoins. One of the altcoins that we got to look at is our friend Arbitrum. And I kept saying to you, you got to hold on tight when you see that there is a Korean pump. So if you go to CoinGecko and you look for Upbit's volume, what you can see is that the Koreans have gone absolutely crazy on Arbitrum, and now it is the biggest traded coin on the exchange, even bigger than Bitcoin. People are buying more Arbitrum than Bitcoin, and you can see it when you look at the price. So let's quickly get a Arbitrum. So ARB-USDT, if you look at Arbitrum on the price 176, but I want to show you something. If you go Arbitrum, Korean won on Upbit over here, and then you add in a volume indicator, which is this one over here. So we do a quick volume indicator. Okay, can I have? Okay, let's quickly see if we can see the volume. Okay, look at the volume on Upbit. It's not as high as the big day, but you can certainly see that there's much more volume on Arbitrum. And if you go and look at it here, what you can see is that the Koreans are aping. And what we know for sure is that when the Koreans aping, you sit back, you enjoy the ride, you don't take profits, you just wait and see where this thing can go. The action on Arbitrum is actually causing the transaction chart to go crazy. So look at the transaction chart on Arbitrum. Look at that. Look at the number of transactions on Arbitrum. And the one thing about Arbitrum, which we need to remember, is that the biggest advantage that Arbitrum had over most other tokens that have launched is that Arbitrum had Optimism. Because Optimism had a valuation in the market. Before Arbitrum launched, and in fact, even after Arbitrum launched, let's quickly just go and look here. So you look at Optimism, which was a layer 2, very similar to optimistic rollups. And the market said, hold on, you got Optimism, which is valued at $11.5 billion. So let's quickly just look at what happens when you compare Optimism to Arbitrum. So I'm going to remove every other chain, and I'm only going to keep Arbitrum, and I'm going to keep Optimism here. I'm going to remove all the other ones. I'm going to put Optimism, and I'm going to put Arbitrum. And I want to just show you how easy this trade actually was and why I took a trade. And I took a very big trade, but the one I showed you is one of my smaller trades. But what you can see is the red line is Optimism. The blue line is Arbitrum. You can do this yourself. It's 𝗕𝗆𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗍. And what you can see is that on daily active addresses, you can see that Arbitrum has about 7 times the daily active addresses that Optimism has. If you look at daily transactions, 2.5 times or 3 times the number of daily transactions. If you look at total value locked, Arbitrum has 2.5 times the total value lock of Optimism. If you look at DEX volume, Arbitrum has 8 times the DEX volume of Optimism. When you see a trade like this, it's actually a very simple trade because you know that Arbitrum has got to trade at a much higher valuation to Optimism. And that's why I took a position. That's why I'm holding this position, because I think that the market has what you call something relative that they can value it, which is almost like a like-for-like comparison. And so for me, I'm going to keep this trade open because right now, I think, I've got very limited downside. I'll probably have a stop loss at 160 or something like that if the price goes down. But for now, I'm going to just enjoy the music. I'm going to ride this thing all the way up because I see that on a relative basis, there's no way that you can say that Arbitrum that Optimism is better than Arbitrum. So that's one of them. The other one which I'm looking at is PEPE. So can you buy PEPE? It has a market cap of $43 million. It has about 11,000 holders. In fact, let's quickly just refresh the number of holders. So they've got 12,000 holders. Yesterday it was 6. The number of holders has doubled in 2 days. Now, you say to yourself, can a meme coin get to a valuation of $200 or $300 million? Of course it can. Shiba Inu got to a valuation of $7 billion. So to me, again, it's gambling money. There's no fundamentals here. And if this thing drops, it drops to 0. But if you are in the mood to dance with the music, then dance with the music, guys. Then dance with the music. That's the way I see it. What else is there? I did say to you, Blur, the Nansen subscribers, the smart money on Nansen, the people that pay a lot of money to be on Nansen, the most searched token is Blur. I don't know if you want to be ignoring it. I don't know if you want to be ignoring it. Another narrative which you may not want to ignore, but we're not going to talk about it now, is that you may have heard that Bybit next week are launching full KYC. And I think Bybit is the first. I think that every other exchange is going to launch full KYC. I think that's one of the things that you can't avoid. Might not do it next week, but they'll do it in a month. You cannot be a centralized exchange and not do full KYC. It's just not going to work. Forget about it. So what you may want to look at is if people are going to move to the DEXs. And if the people are going to move into DEXs, you can have a theory about which DEXs are actually going to work. And if you have that narrative, then you can actually be trading those DEXs. In the meantime, look, I know that over 70% of Bybit's client base is already KYC'd. If you're not KYC'd, you're going to need to KYC. There's nothing you can do about it. And especially if you want to participate in our trading competition, and we are going to launch a trading competition, It's absolutely unbelievable. We're launching a trading competition with 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗍𝗏. It's going to launch next week. First prize, Tesla. Second prize, Rolex. Third prize, $10,000. And then we're going to be giving away $100,000 in just random draws. And I'm also going to be funding 100 accounts. So I'm going to be funding 100 accounts to play in the trading competition. So I'm telling you, you've been warned. Tomorrow is the official launch of the trading competition. Don't say I didn't tell you. Don't come back here and say you didn't tell us there's a trading competition. Get your $200 ready because tomorrow we're playing. Tomorrow we play ball. Someone who's not playing ball is Gary Gensler. And I mean, Gary pretty much memed himself. He memed himself. So on the one hand, you've all seen this. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But on the one hand, what they did was they charged the SEC and the founder with operating an unregistered securities exchange. Now, in the press release, they named a whole lot of tokens that which they considered to be the unregistered securities that this exchange was actually selling. Amongst the tokens that they spoke about was a token called Algorand. Now, what they forgot is that Gary Gensler used to lecture at MIT. And 𝗕𝗏𝗍𝗍𝗍 also used to lecture at MIT. 𝗕𝗏𝗍𝗍𝗍 is the founder of Arbitrum, of Algorand. And so in the old days, when Gary Gensler wasn't such a clown, and before he was the head of the SEC, he said this.
Governance is tough. You could create Uber or Lyft on top of a blockchain technology today. Well, maybe in 5 years you could. It would have the performance. 𝗕𝗏𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍's Algorand, who's a Turing Award winner at MIT that I work with. Silvio's got a great technology that has the performance. You could create Uber on top of it. The question is then who would update the software?
Okay, so Gary Gensler himself, when he was at MIT, was talking about how amazing this Algorand is. And then he also sues Bittrex, saying that Algorand is actually a security. So as a result of this, the Algorand price goes down slightly, 22.46. It was at about 23.5, and my position is a little bit down. I am going to hold it for a little bit. But what we are seeing is we are seeing that they are succeeding in pushing exchanges out of the US. So Bittrex is now saying, look, we're out of the US. We don't care. Coinbase, you can see, they're saying that people are going to leave, but you can also see that Brian Armstrong is spending a lot more time in other countries, like in the UK. And he's saying that the UK actually has a much better approach to crypto than the US. So I think the SEC is doing big damage. And I tweeted yesterday, I said, I think Gary Gensler should be charged for treason. The reason is I think he's doing more damage to the US than any terrorist organization. I don't think any terrorist organization has done as much damage to the SEC, to the US, as Gary Gensler has. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Well, not the elephant in the room, but let's talk about the big story. And the big story is, I did say to you guys that I made $1 million. And usually I don't talk about the amount of money that I make because I think that that's none of anybody's business. And I just don't really like flaunting the money that we make as a business. But I think it's important to show you how this money was made and where I made the money and the approach that I adopted in making this money, because I think there's a big learning and a big lesson for you guys. So let's look at some of the $1 million, and then I'll show you a little bit more of the $1 million. The first thing is, as you can see, this trading account over here, I've taken a lot of profits on this trading account, but I bought Arbitrum and I traded Arbitrum because I had conviction and because I saw the relative valuation versus Optimism. I also bought Blur, and I bought Blur because I thought it was a good competitor to OpenSea. On the Arbitrum and the Blur position, if you combine the profit that I made, it is about $100,000 profit. There's another $30,000 profit that I've made here on Bitcoin. And that is because I saw Bitcoin breaking momentum and I decided that I wanted to ride this momentum. So that's the first portfolio. I'm going to show you another one of my portfolios. I just want to log in to the other portfolio quickly. Let me quickly just log in and hopefully it allows us in, and I've got all the 2FAs here. Okay, let me just log out and log in to show you another account. And again, I don't usually share these kind of things because I just think that it's, I'm not the type that wants to flaunt how much money I make, but it's important that you see the methodology that I used here. Okay, let me just get some 2FA going here. If there is 2FA, of course there's 2FA at an account like this. Okay, let me just get us. Okay. Okay, I'm in. And let me get into derivatives so that you guys can see it. Okay, so here's a couple of other positions which I just want to show you, and I want to show you, the main thing is so that you guys understand the thinking. So the first thing is, when FTX started to go down and everything started to collapse, I started to dollar cost average into a Bitcoin position. And I bought myself 35.5 Bitcoin. And my average entry price into those 35.5 Bitcoin was about 19,359. And so in that position, you can see I'm up just on that position alone. I'm up $400,000. I took it on a 10x leverage. I was constantly adding margin to make sure I wouldn't get liquidated because I wanted to hold this position in a nice long-term position. I took a Cardano position. I did take some profits in this Cardano position, which is still slightly up. I'm a little bit down on my 𝗟𝗲𝗍𝗍 position, but then I had some other big positions. So I got 57,000 profit on Curve, $42,500 profit on 𝗕𝗏𝗍𝗍𝗍, $157,000 profit on GMX. Then I took a monster Solana position, which I took at $13.56. And that gave me about $115,000. And so you can see if you add up all of these and you take in the few losses that I've got on Near, Carbon Network, and Rune, you've got yourself a profit of almost $1 million. What's the lesson here? Because I didn't want to just show you guys that I made $1 million. Two lessons. The first thing is that you can use a relatively small amount of money using leverage responsibly to get into positions when the market is quite low. So when the market is quite low, you can use leverage to get in, but you got to watch your funding rates and you got to make sure that you're not going to get liquidated. It gives you the opportunity to take slightly bigger positions that you want to do. The second thing is, there were many, many times when these positions were down a lot, okay? And I stuck with my conviction. I stuck and I said, you know what, Bitcoin went down to 15,000 and the altcoins got wrecked. And I said, you know what, I believe that all of these coins are going to make it into the next cycle. And therefore, I'm willing to hold my positions. And that is exactly what I did. And the result is that right now, I'm getting handsomely rewarded for it. And that's what I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to show you guys that if you have conviction and you're willing to hold these positions for long periods of time, when people are calling the end of the world, then you can actually do it. And I managed to do it, as you can see, on Bybit with I didn't need a lot of money to make it. In fact, I think my whole margin was it was tiny relative to the position. So something for you guys to think about. I think lastly, before we go, we should talk about Elon or in fact, let's talk about a couple of other things. There are a couple of things going on. So the first thing is, I don't know if you saw, but Apple has offered a 4.1% deposit account on using Apple. And so people are starting to pull money out of the bank to put their money into Apple, which is, I mean, it's quite, Apple can be the biggest financial institution in the world if they want to be a big financial institution. Other bit of news is at TUSD, which is where what CZ has been punting, is now 10% of the stable coin volume on sexes, which just shows that one stable coin comes down and one will come up. And Binance has started to support TUSD, and so TUSD is starting to move up. Some other stuff which is probably worth talking about is Elon. There were a couple of things that I saw with Elon. The one thing, he took one of the Canadian press and he said, this is 69% owned by the state. Because he's starting to label the press in his battle against the mainstream press and the state-funded press. He's starting to label them on Twitter. So there's a couple of things that are worth listening to from Elon. The first thing is, listen to this.
Interview with Elon Musk. Is this true that our government is spying on private direct messages? Listen to what he said.
You were shocked to find out that various intel agencies were affecting its operations?
The degree to which various government agencies had effectively had full access to everything that was going on Twitter blew my mind. I was not aware of that.
Would that include people's DMs?
Yes. Yes, because the DMs are not encrypted.
Are you kidding me? Private direct messages? Our government spying on every individual, every American like that? Senator, what's going on in our country?
But listen, that is Fox News breaking major news tonight. I'm going to make a prediction that your competitors aren't even going to cover it. CNN, they're not going to say a word about it.
Senator,
ABC, CBS,
nobody's
NBC.
watching.
Not a word. They'll ignore it. You're right. Everyone is here watching. But listen, what Elon is saying, that the government is intercepting and monitoring DMs, it raises an obvious question about the rest of big tech. Is Google allowing the federal government to monitor Gmail? Is Facebook allowing the federal government to monitor Messenger and WhatsApp? This is, you remember the big scandal under George W. Bush about the FBI program that was monitoring people's emails?
Yeah.
Well, what Elon just said is that the federal government is doing that actively in private communications. As you know, I've launched an oversight investigation from the Senate Commerce Committee, 9 big tech companies that I'm demanding information on their getting in bed with government. And all of these 9 were in a Signal chat with the FBI and the federal government just prior to the last election. Big tech needs to be accountable.
That's the first thing that Elon did. This is Trudeau responding to what Elon has done, labeling CBC as a government-funded media. He's such a pansy. I'm sorry, if you live in Canada, this guy's such a pansy.
I think it says a lot about the Conservative Party of Canada, that they're choosing to constantly attack independent media organizations, journalists who are working hard to keep Canadians informed and support our democracy. CBC Radio-Canada serves right across the country, delivers local news and local content in many regions of the country that, yes, has been challenged over the past years, but the idea of adding to that challenges and laying on by attacking this Canadian institution, attacking the culture and local content that is so important to so many Canadians, really indicates
Mommy.
the values and the approach that Mr. Poilievre is putting forward.
Mommy, Elon was nasty
And I think it is telling that in order to attack this institution that is important for many, many Canadians,
Mommy, Elon was bullying me in the playground.
he runs to
during
American
recess time.
billionaires, the tech giants that they...
So that's that. The last thing that I think we should talk about Elon, I hope I've got this one, is around ChatGPT. He says...
it was...
Listen to this. This is scary because this is how they can manipulate the way that you think. Big companies are going to manipulate the way that you think because we're using AI. But just listen to what he says. When I listened to this, it really, really, really struck a chord.
I put a tremendous amount of effort into recruiting Ilya, and he changed his mind a few times and ultimately decided to go with OpenAI. But if he had not gone with OpenAI, OpenAI would not have succeeded. I really put a lot of effort into creating this organization to serve as a counterweight to Google. And then I kind of took my eye off the ball, I guess, and they are now closed source, and they are obviously for profit, and they're closely allied with Microsoft. In effect, Microsoft has a very strong say, if not directly controls OpenAI at this point. So you really have an OpenAI Microsoft situation, and then Google DeepMind are the two sort of heavyweights in this arena.
So it seems like the world needs a third option.
Yes. So I think I will create a third option, although it's starting very late in the game, of course.
Can it be done?
I don't know. I think we'll see. It's definitely starting late, but I'll try to create a third option, and that third option hopefully does more good than harm.
So he's going to create a third option. He's going to create a third option. Anyway, let's quickly look at the markets and just make sure we haven't missed anything while we're here. Bitcoin 30,278. Let's look at the rest. Dominance is still there. You've got Arbitrum 177. I took a small position on Rose because there's a lot of buzz around Rose. Tiny. Okay, it's not on this account. I took a small position on Rose. Let's quickly look at the bubbles and see that we haven't missed anything. Not much going on. Radix, unbelievable returns on Radix. Render is at $2.05. If you guys are Casper people, I'm glad that Casper's actually started to turn around because it was a little bit down. Remember that we got the OKX competition. There's a link below. There is the next part of the competition is the part that we give away on the 1st of May. And we're going to give away a 7-night holiday to the Maldives for anyone that's opened an account and traded. And then the big Tesla. So Tesla Model 3, which is valued up to $43,000. And don't worry, because if there's no Tesla in your country, or if you want the cash, you can just take the cash. So it's going to be, just if you haven't signed up, there's a link below. Sign up. We do have 3 or 4 exchange partners. We've got Bybit, BitGet, OKX, and KuCoin. We're running a campaign with KuCoin now. Remember, those are all the partners actually for the Sui, not the airdrop, but you know what I mean. Anyway, listen, love you guys madly. Someone said, let's check up on Injective. Let's quickly see, what is Injective doing? $9.13 if you want to buy 1 token from Injective. That's where we're at. That's where we called it. $4. Would have been over 100% up. Someone says check Super. Let's check Super again. While we're here, let's just check Super again. We did check it. It's at 18 cents. Something's going on here. I think we need to phone Elio. We'll phone Elio later and find out what's going on with Super. Let me know in the comments what you guys are doing. Also, let me know if you guys are buying PEPE. Let's see. Do you guys have... Do you think that a meme coin can go to a $400 million valuation, or do you think that this one is not going to happen? I wonder. Anyway, listen. Love you guys madly. We're going to see each other again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.